Welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is the Marion City Council meeting for Tuesday, July 2nd. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call, please.
Mr. Draper?
Here.
Atkins?
Here.
Mr. Jensen?
Here.
Mayor Abu-Asley?
Here.
Mr. Sternad?
Present.
Mr. Brandt?
Here.
Ms. Gedalia?
Here.
Okay. First on the agenda, we have Fire Department Volunteer Service Recognition. Chief?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hi, Chief.
The heart of a volunteer is not measured in size, but by the depth of the commitment to make a difference in the lives of others. And I'm here tonight to honor a volunteer. Many people don't know that the Marion Fire Department is part volunteer and career firefighters. And we were lapsed a year or so ago in honoring one of our volunteers. And I want to do so tonight. So, here's a plaque in honor to Randy Sternad from 2010 to 2018. Thank you for providing 8 years of dedication and service to the citizens of Marion and the Marion Fire Department as a volunteer firefighter.
Oh,
Picture.
Picture. Hold on. Hold on.
Stay for the
Get
photo.
back together.
Yeah, photo time.
Thank you, Chief, and congratulations to Mayor Pro Tem Sternad, and thank you for your volunteer service.
I'd like to add just one more thing
Yes.
about volunteers and how important they are to us. Volunteers aren't paid, and they're not paid because they're worthless, but they're not paid because they're priceless. And I hope we all remember that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before, how many volunteers? Give us just a quick rundown. How many volunteers do we have, and how big of a role do they play?
The council years ago approved up to 25.
Okay.
Right now we have 14. We're in the process of hiring 6. And then after those 6 are trained, we'll try to hire 5 more.
All right. Very good. Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, at this time we have a public forum for comments from the public on topics that are listed on the agenda but not associated with a public hearing. There is a section at the end of the meeting for items that are not on the agenda, so if there's anyone here to address the council on anything that is not on the agenda, at the end of the meeting would be the time to do that. If you are here to address or would like to address the council on any item that is on the agenda but is not associated with a public hearing, this would be the time to do that. Please come forward. Welcome. Please state your name and address for us. Thank you.
Amber Jordan, 1493 Martin Creek Road, and I'm here on behalf of myself and then my husband. He could not make it today because he's farming. He can't just stop what we're doing to come to these meetings with how the weather has been this year. Anyways, I just urge the council that you have the power to change the scope of this airport layout plan today. And today it reaches, I think the plan is 17,000 feet from the end of the airport. That is a far over scope of what the airport actually needs for the zoning of the current scope. And I urge you to think about, how is flying going to change 30 years from now? Think about how much technology has changed from 30 years ago or 15 years ago. Are we really going to fly the same way we do today 30 years from now? And do we need a land use plan to do that? So it really affects our business and how we grow. And if you put this restriction on our business, we will not be able to grow where we stand today. in our infrastructure and how we would like to develop our farming business. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
Good afternoon. My name is Lori Copper, 2145 Merrick Lane in Marion. And I was before all of you, I think, except for the mayor last meeting you had. And one of my comments that I had spoke to you about was that I felt like we didn't have a voice. But at the end of the meeting, after the end of the meeting last week, I felt like that we were listened to. So I do want to say thank you for that. But I also want you to remember the comments that were presented, the concerns, and your responsibility to the citizens of Marion and to the Lynn County residents that your decision on this ALP is affecting when you do make your final decision. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Nick Glue, President of Marion Economic Development, also a resident of the City of Marion. Related to the airport and some of the decisions that you guys will make later, I think the one thing that, we can maybe all think differently about the significant amount of work that's been put into this project to get us to this point. As you choose the decisions that you all are going to make moving forward, the one thing that we need to make sure we address is just clarity and uncertainty that is potentially being brought to the marketplace. We've obviously spent dollars platting ground associated with the ALP that was developed and adopted, and so changes to the ALP means we need to invest some dollars to change our plans as well. So related to development that has happened since the adoption of the ALP and just plans that are in place moving forward that most likely will need to change, I ask that whatever decisions you make, whatever timeline that you put together on changes that this council would like to make beyond the plans that have been adopted, just make sure that that timeline is defined and that we stick to that timeline so that at the end of the day we can just bring clarity to what we want to see happen out there. That's the one thing that as property owners, as folks that have supported development around the airport, as we've worked to address questions, the thing that we now just don't have is clarity of what's going to happen. And so I understand that some of the decisions and topics that you all are talking about will take time now to unfold and restudy and redesign. I just ask that is a very intentional process, that's a very data-driven process, so that at the end of the day we can just have some amount of certainty and knowing of which direction we're going to turn now. So that's the one thing I just want to reiterate through your dialogue today, that we come out of here with a plan and process to either continuing with the plan or making tweaks with good input and good advice from the folks that probably know better than all of us as far as what we need to do moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to address the council on any item that is on the agenda but is not a part of a public hearing this evening? Now's the time to come forward. Okay, thank you all for your comments. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Mr. Jensen?
Yes, Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as follows. This will include items A1 through F2, resolution numbers 27753 through 27768, and we will pull for separate discussion item A7, which is resolution number 27753.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda, including resolutions 27753 through 27768, but accepting 27753, and approving 27754 through 27768. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. Would you like to make the motion on 7753?
Yeah, I'd like to, Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution number 27753, approving letter of support regarding YMCA CAT application.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27753, approving a letter of support regarding YMCA CAT grant application. And I believe, do we have someone here to address the council on that? Okay. State your name and address. Welcome.
Hi, Bob Carlson, 1195 Seacrest Road. I'm the president of the YMCA.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I want to address the mayor and council today and ask for your support. First of all, congratulations, Mr. Sternad. I have a son-in-law who's a volunteer firefighter, as is all his family in Wisconsin. I know the dedication that comes with doing that, so
Thank you.
great honor that you received. I also know about volunteers, Deb, because we work with about 1,400 of them a year, so they're very important to us. Thanks for considering our request for a letter of support for the CAT grant. We are submitting that on July 15th, and that's obviously a very important one for the end point of some of our fundraising that we're doing. Those of you who know about the CAT grant know they like to be last dollars in, and to make that mark, we're able to ask for $500,000. We'd like to ask for more, but that's not in their guidelines. So this is very helpful to us as we move forward. I was on the phone with our grant writer today, and we are doing very well. Looks like a very good application. We also have 2 YMCAs in the state that have received funding over the last year. One of those is the Washington County YMCA, received $490,000, and the Davenport Downtown New Project received $500,000 from them just recently this spring. So, and none of them had the support and commitment that you all have from the city towards this project. So that's one of our, I think, very shining stars in going into this application. So we appreciate all the support we can get. We should have about 25 or 28 letters of support, including from all of the communities surrounding us, Robbins, Hiawatha, Springville, lots of corporations and businesses that are supporting us, so we would appreciate your help as well.
And we should just clarify for those who don't know, CAT grant stands for Community Attraction and Tourism Grant.
Correct. Community Attraction and Tourism. I'm sorry, I should have explained that.
And that's through the Economic Development Department, correct? Yeah.
And we have a great opportunity with the gym space that we're building to attract tournaments to Marion, which is really what we're going to expand upon as well, because those tournaments is a very big economic draw for folks to come in and spend money in the community.
Any questions? Yes.
When do you find out if you receive or how much you receive?
We will, a lot of times it takes 2 to 3 board meetings for that money to be allocated. If we do not have any questions, or excuse me, the first board meeting that we would attend would be August 14th. And so if we do not have a lot of questions coming after that, we could be awarded that in the next board meeting, which would be in September. That's what we're hoping for.
Great. Good luck.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Other questions? Yes, Will.
So then when are you anticipating breaking ground?
Well, we have right now 2 really solid financing options that we are considering. One of the things that it's predicated on is, I know the City Council in your due diligence are approving our path forward with your contribution coming in July. That's one piece of the puzzle we're going to need to have in place. And then we also are looking for, if you know anybody that's interested, we're trying to sell the old Marion Y site, which goes towards this project, the $1.5 million that we think will net on that. So that's the other piece that really brings it all together, and that's when we turn dirt, when we have both of those agreements in place. Hopefully this month.
Other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any discussion on the resolution 27753, approving the letter of support for the CAT grant application? Okay, we'll vote. All those in favor of resolution number 27753, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Motion is approved. Moving on to the regular agenda. Under engineering.
We have the consent with your abstention section.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Yes, my fault. I will turn over the gavel for the next section to Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve the consent agenda with Mayor Abwasli's abstention from voting and discussion as follows, which would include A1 through F1 and their resolutions 27769 through 27775.
Second?
It has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda with Mayor Abwasli's abstention from voting and discussion for items to include A1 through F1 resolutions 27769 through 27775. Discussion? I just want to make a point. We had applications for the Municipal Airport Committee. I'd like to thank all of the applicants that did submit applications for that. That decision was very difficult to make, but nonetheless, we did have a vacancy that we needed to fill, so I'd like to thank Mr. Stokes for the continuing efforts with that, and as well to all of the applicants that submitted and took the time. I did visit with each one of the applicants for that. But anyway, a continuation of discussion on that before we move forward. Seeing none, all those in favor of items A1 through F1 say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you. I'll turn the meeting back over to the mayor.
Okay, now we're on to the regular agenda.
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 27776, approving a contract with Insight Performance Management Group, LLC, in the amount of $26,100 for comprehensive strategic planning services.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27776, approving the contract with Insight Performance Management Group in the amount of $26,100 for comprehensive strategic planning. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Had a couple quick things on this. One, I love that we're 15,000 under budget almost, so that's always nice.
Yeah.
But when I was reading in the explanation, it says that we haven't updated this for 2 years and that it's general. Did we do something like this 2 years ago and just not go deep? Or why is this so recent and we're doing it again?
Yep, so what we're doing now is a more comprehensive approach to strategic planning. What we did 2 years ago was we did basically just a facilitated portion. So a consultant came in, they did a brief review of our documents, kind of a light environmental scan, and then it was a 2 or 3 day on-site facilitation with leadership, staff, as well as the city council. So that basically generated 5 broad goal areas. What we're hoping to do with this one is actually cascade that down into the work plans and have that be relevant for 3 years and easily updatable. With that, also, phase 2, she has it kind of broken down into 7 distinct phases, is going to be a very in-depth environmental scan. So we'll be able to go through all of the documents that we've got, demographic data, survey data, as well as some on-site stakeholder focus groups. So we'll actually have the consultant on-site for a few days to hold those focus groups with our staff, with the city council, with other groups that have been identified. And then the other piece of that is a survey administration to the whole staff. So while we realize we can't do focus groups to all 220 employees, we do want to make sure that everyone is engaged so that we're not missing anything. So there will be a survey component to that environmental scan as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would add that having gone through the strategic planning, I think at least a couple times previously, looking at this and how it's going to be handled seems to me like it's a lot more thorough, in-depth, and really more meaningful. I think we're going to get an end result that is more meaningful and more substantial than we have in the past. So,
And then the only other thing on that is I noted in the memo that we'll be following up with you probably in about a week, 2 weeks at most to actually get those dates on your calendar. There will be a few touch points. Our consultant is in North Carolina, so we'll want to make sure that you guys are all available when she's up in Marion.
Other questions or discussion? Yes, sir.
Can you just summarize here? I mean, I know we've gone through this process, but how many applied for this and how did we land on this one? I know travel time is a big part of this bill.
Yep, sure. We had 4 applicants that responded to our RFQ. We graded them. We had a review committee, a multi-department review committee, 8 criteria that are all listed on the front page. We heavily weighted it on that actual implementation piece of it because we've never done that before, just making sure that it is going to be successful, that the likelihood of success would be high so that it's not just something that goes onto our shelf. This was actually, I mean, beyond being blown away by how qualified this consultant was, she was also the least expensive. So it was a win-win.
Okay, thank you.
Other discussion or questions? Ready to vote? Okay, all those in favor of resolution number 27776, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 27777, approving a contract with the National Research Center Incorporated in the amount of $16,775 to conduct the biennial National Citizen Survey.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27777, approving the contract with the National Research Center in the amount of $16,775 to conduct the biennial National Citizen Survey. Discussion.
Do you want an update?
Did you have a...
I can just kind of give a quick
go ahead.
overview
Just for
of
the
this.
purposes of people who are listening or who are here at the meeting today.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the city of Marion has conducted a citizen satisfaction survey every 2 years for longer than I've been here. 2 years ago in 2017, we changed our vendor and we decided to start using the National Citizen Survey, which is endorsed by ICMA. It's statistically significant and it is just a really high quality survey. We were very pleased with the results of it last time and would like to move forward again with the same survey this year. This one is very broadly used across the nation. Part of the benefit in using NCS is that we do have that comparative data that we can use against other cities in the nation, and we've actually gone a step further to identify a peer group based on a similar population, a similar median household income, as well as being a city in a metro area, but not the primary city. So cities that are in a similar situation as Marion. Part of the benefit of doing this survey right now, rather than in the late part of the calendar year, which we did in 2017, is that we can even use the data a little bit more meaningfully than we have in the past because our strategic planning consultant will be able to integrate that into part of her environmental scan.
Okay. We should also note that this also came in under budget.
Yes.
Other questions or comments? Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Amanda, when you pushed this out, you mentioned that you would maybe be open to taking suggestions for additions.
Absolutely.
Is now the time to discuss that?
Yep. If there are any areas that you guys would be interested in, we would like to hear it. We don't have anything solidified yet for those optional questions. That's something that we're going to be developing kind of at the staff level, but we would like to have your input now so we can help
Like
inform
now
those.
at this meeting, or
If you have some
Okay.
ideas,
So-
that would be great.
I'd like to hear them.
Okay, all right, so I promise this isn't lengthy, but there's like one on every page. So on page 1, I don't know if they can get this kind of feedback, but for number 3, when it says about, remaining in Marion or living in Marion, I think it'd be neat if we could find out what if they're going to leave, what that cause would be, so we know why we lose people. If it's job-related, family-related, or retirement, I just thought, if anybody else thinks that's meaningful, I was curious. On page 2, number 9, it talks about public meetings, and it talks about attending the meetings or listening. I'd be curious about the minutes, if how many people actually read our minutes. And then on page 3, number 12, right in the middle, it's rating Marion on government performance. I think it'd be interesting to split up the Marion government between staff and elected officials and see if there's a difference. And then number 15, trying to find out if people would support or oppose property tax or fees increase to fund improvements. I think we should add the airport expansion on there. Seems timely. I also think transportation would be something of interest. When I was on the CMPO, it was something we talked about, possibly trying to reach some public transit more into the city. I know we've done some of the bus hubs, but those are just some thoughts I had going through, but it's very comprehensive, and I can't wait to see the feedback. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, that's great feedback. I just wanted to note that the optional questions are page 4, so we have an entire page that we can use. If it's a longer question, we have fewer questions. Some of the ideas that you had for the others, we could add as separate questions on our optional pages, but just wanted to let you know that the ones on the other pages are pretty set in stone.
Okay.
And if anyone else has suggestions, they can get them to Amanda.
Yes.
Other discussion on this item, approving the contract? Okay, all those in favor of resolution number 27777, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. Mr. Jensen.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 2778, approving the final capital contribution payment to Prospect Meadows in the amount of $450,000.
Second?
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27778, approving the final contribution to Prospect Meadows in the amount of $450,000. This is out of our total of $1.25 million? Okay. So this is the final contribution. Discussion. Okay. All those in favor of resolution number 27778, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. I would just add as a note of interest on Prospect Meadows, I saw 2 weekends ago, I think they had people here from 7 different states for a tournament. So they are delivering what they promised. So.
And the new hotel is busy because of it.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Cernad.
Mayor, I approve resolution number 27779, approving affidavit with Cedar Rapids, Lynn County Solid Waste Agency for the curbside recycling program incentive.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27779, approving an affidavit with the Cedar Rapids, Lynn County Solid Waste Agency for the curbside recycling program incentive. So this is something they're requesting so that we would be able to receive the incentive that they're offering for curbside recycling, which is, I'm trying to remember the amount, $66,000. Okay. Discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of resolution number 27779, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no.
No.
Okay, we have 1 no, and the motion is approved. Okay, at this time we have a public hearing regarding the geothermal field site package for the public service maintenance facility. Public hearing is now open. Mr. Miller, do we have a brief update on what this is about?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. This is part of the Public Service Maintenance Facility Project. We've solicited bids, and for this project, engineer's estimate for the project was $660,000. We had one bidder, which we expected. They were underbid. They came in at $648,955. In accordance with this contract, they would start actually as soon as I notify them whether or not you approve it tonight. Completion date would be October 31st, 2019. Liquidated damages are programmed at $300 per day. The reason why we expected only one bidder, there's really only one company in Iowa that can do something this big. This is a very large field, and to put it in perspective, each one of these square boxes is about 2 football fields long. And so it's a very, very large field. It's one of the largest ones in the state of Iowa. So we're very aware of their work. We did vet them, and staff is recommending awarding the bid.
Okay. I guess we can take your questions during the discussion section, right? So is any, or we can give you, or ask you questions. Is there anyone here to address the council in favor of this measure? Please come forward. Anyone here to address the council in opposition, please come forward. Okay, and have we received any comments outside of this public hearing? Staff? No one? Okay. Then we will close the public hearing and move on to the resolution.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 27780, accepting bids and awarding contract to A1 Geothermal Incorporated for the geothermal field site package associated with the Public Service Maintenance Facility in the amount of $648,955.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27780, accepting bids and awarding contract to A1 Geothermal Incorporated for the geothermal field site package for the Public Service Maintenance Facility in the amount of $648,955. Discussion. Questions for Mr. Miller? Yes, sir.
Is the gradings all done out there?
No, they started today. And actually, with this package, the grading does not have to be done. This is a different design where they're doing what we call horizontal bores. They actually sit back out of the building site. They go down, they bore 15 foot down and 30 foot down. And so they will not disturb the construction site one bit while they're putting this in.
And you said it started today, the grading?
No, the grading was supposed to start 3 weeks ago. It's been so wet. The Rachi, who got the bid for that, they actually just started today. So they're a little bit behind, but hopefully they'll get caught up. So
I didn't know.
Yeah. And we should reiterate, over time, this will be significant cost savings for the city.
Yes, and so if the council, actually, if the city council remembers, we did an energy study with the white group that Alliant and Mid-American paid for. Significant cost savings with putting this in, over $200,000 annually, both in maintenance and energy costs. And so it's Alliant, the rebates we're getting back from Alliant and Mid-Am pretty much pay for that entire loop field right there.
The 648?
Yeah, I think it's $575,000 we're getting back in rebates, and then we get an additional rebate from Mid-Am. Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm a no-brainer, I guess.
Is that short of a payback?
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor of approving resolution number 27780, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. Thank you.
Your Honor, I move to approve the project calendar for the precast concrete package associated with the Public Service Maintenance Facility as follows, including resolutions 27781 through 27783.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the project calendar for the precast concrete package associated with the Public Service Maintenance Facility, including resolutions 27781, 27782, and 27783. Discussion? And I see Mr. Miller is still up here if anyone has questions, so. Do you have anything to add? Okay.
Whatever you need.
Questions? Comments? Discussion? Okay, we will vote. All those in favor of approving the project calendar for the precast concrete package for the Public Service Maintenance Facility, including resolutions 27781, 27782, and 27783. Please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve project calendar for the pre-engineered metal building package associated with the Public Service Maintenance Facility as follows, including resolutions 27784 through 27786.
Second?
It has been moved and seconded to approve the project calendar for the pre-engineered metal building package associated with the Public Service Maintenance Facility, including resolutions 27784, 27785, and 27786. Discussion? Questions for Mr. Miller? Okay, all those in favor of approving the project calendar for the pre-engineered metal building package, including resolutions 27784, 27785, and 27786, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve the project calendar for the concrete foundation package associated with the Public Service Maintenance Facility as follows, and this will include resolution numbers 27787 through 27789.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the project calendar for the concrete foundation package associated with the Public Service Maintenance Facility, including resolutions 27787, 27788, and 27789. Discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving the project calendar for the concrete foundation package for the Public Service Maintenance Facility, including resolutions 27787, 27788, and 27789, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. So, looks like the Public Maintenance Facility is moving forward. Okay, on to engineering.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 27790, approving contract and bond with Eastern Iowa Excavating and Concrete, LLC, regarding the 2019 3rd Avenue Rehabilitation Project, NSI, in the amount of $233,276.65.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27790, approving the contract and bond with Eastern Iowa Excavating and Concrete, LLC, regarding the 2019 3rd Avenue Rehabilitation Project in the amount of $233,276.65. Discussion, and as I see that we have the aerial up there. Is anyone discussing this? Yes.
Unless you want a staff report, I just have it up there in case there's questions.
Okay. Any questions, or is that clear to everyone? Okay. All those in favor of resolution number 27790, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. Thank you. Mr. Brandt.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 27791, approving contract and bond with Curtis Contracting Corporation regarding the 2019 sidewalk project in the amount of $144,480.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilmember Brandt, seconded by Councilmember Gadela, to approve resolution number 27791, approving contract and bond with Curtis Contracting Corporation regarding 2019 sidewalk project in the amount of $144,480. Discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Are these replacements or are they new?
So this is a combination of two projects. It's the sidewalk assessment program that's putting sidewalk where sidewalk does not exist. And it's also going in and putting in ramps where maybe there was no curb before, you know, maybe it landed at the curb, or it's one that's a tripping hazard, something like that.
Other discussion or questions? Okay. All those in favor of resolution number 27791, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved.
Your Honor, I move to approve the project calendar regarding the 2019 Marion Fire Station Site Subdrain Package as follows, including resolutions 27792 through 27794.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the project calendar for the 2019 Marion Fire Station Site Subdrain Package, including resolutions 27792 through 27794. Any discussion? Questions or discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving the project calendar for the Marion Fire Station Site Subdrain Package, resolutions 27792 through 27794, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve project calendar regarding the removal of Railroad Bridge over Marion Boulevard in advance of the Seymour Trail. Includes resolutions 27795 through 27797.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the project calendar for the removal of the Railroad Bridge over Marion Boulevard in advance of the Seymour Trail construction. This includes resolutions 27795, 27796, and 27797. Discussion. Yes, ma'am.
How long will they have to close the roadway entirely, and if so, for how long?
So it'll never be completely closed. They'll set it up so that it's at least one lane of traffic through there. I believe it's one way each direction at all times. It's just the raised median that's in there, we'll tear that out so that we can move everybody over to that, and it'll be one lane in each direction and vice versa. We don't want to take the bridge down if there's cars driving underneath it.
As I read the report, it's possible it could be done yet this year, or it's most likely
Well, there's
next
a
year?
late start date, so the DOT is worried because they have a backlog of projects because, like last year, everything's still behind. So there's a late start date of September 21st of 2020.
Yeah.
But if a contractor's available, they could come in before that, but they don't have to start until 2020. So,
That's the latest it could start.
yes.
But it could happen.
Yeah,
sooner.
if a contractor's free, if it's raining, this is a project they could come in and do because they're working off a hard surface. But again, because this is through the DOT and the DOT is reimbursing us for this,
Sure.
we have to go by their schedule. And we still have time working through Kara Briggs Farmer to get the new bridge design and stuff, so it's
Sure.
not like we need it down today.
But it's the DOT that will actually do the bid letting, right?
Yeah, so the letting will go through the DOT, through the BidX program. It'll come back before the council, and you guys will still see the numbers.
Okay. All right. Any further questions or discussion on this? Yes,
I have a
Paul.
question. Is there any rail left on top of that bridge?
Any rails?
I'm not sure. I didn't climb up there.
If there is, we need to keep it because it's worth a lot of money for one thing. Plus, sometime we're going to have a railroad museum, and we're going to need all the rail we can find. So if there's any rail left on that, I'd like to make sure that that goes into our.
We'll look into it. I know there's ballast on there, and the ballast we are salvaging.
Okay. We have room at Public Works for more rail.
Okay.
The old one or the new one?
Either.
All of it. All of it.
Any additional questions or comments before we vote?
Paul's garage.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the project calendar for the removal of the railroad bridge over Marion Boulevard, including resolutions 27795, 27796, and 27797, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion has been approved.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 27798, approving a memorandum of agreement with Synergy Equity Partners LLC regarding the 2019 Irish Drive Extension Project.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27798, approving a memorandum of agreement with Synergy Equity Partners regarding 2019 Irish Drive Extension Project. Discussion. Yes, sir.
Did the, I guess this would be for Mike, did the minor details get ironed out with the developer?
We've gotten most of them ironed out. Lon's flight got delayed, so there was a few that did not get ironed out, as far as I know.
So should we approve this now then, or?
The changes that have been requested are from the developer standpoint, so what I would suggest doing is approving it from our standpoint, and then if they would like to see an amendment to it, they could bring any changes back as an amendment to the MOA. But that way we can get all the rest of it cemented.
Makes sense.
Okay, is that clear to everyone? The memorandum is as we would want it. If there's changes from their part, we could amend it if we decide, if staff recommends it and we decide to make those amendments. Okay? All right, so any further discussion or questions on resolution 27798? And so at some point in the future, then when the private property along that is developed, then they would reimburse us for their share of the road?
Much like you've seen occur on Tower Terrace Road and other projects, if there are any access fees, those are paid either triggered by final platting the property or issuance of a building permit. It varies a little bit depending on the agreement.
Right. But that's the case here, right? I mean, we would get reimbursement on the...
Yeah, so the original agreement was between Gill, the west property owner, the east, the Mooney property owner, and the city. Well, now we have become basically the Gill property. And so now the agreements, we're amending that original agreement to take out Gill and put us in the place. So at time of final plat, there to reimburse us for their portion of it.
Right, okay. Okay, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of resolution number 27798, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion's approved.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 27799, approving a memorandum of agreement with Stephen and Sandra Bach regarding the 2019 sidewalk project. This will be 150 Grand Avenue.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27799, approving a memorandum of agreement with Stephen and Sandra Bach regarding the 2019 sidewalk project. Discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to receive and file, discuss, and refer to TAC a petition regarding additional signage, speed, transition area, and police enforcement at the intersection of Albernet Road and Echo Hill and to the north. Sue and Rick Schulte, 5901 Rock Ridge Drive.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to receive, file, discuss, and refer to the Traffic Advisory Committee a petition regarding additional signage, speed transition area, and police enforcement at the intersection of Albernet Road and Echo Hill. Discussion on receiving, filing, and referring to TAC. So they'll look at it and come back to us with a recommendation.
Yep, this
Okay.
is just sending it to them.
All right, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. Next on our agenda, we have a discussion with the staff regarding floodplain development permit associated with the placement of the future Albernet Road Bridge and the box culvert that we are installing. Who's leading the discussion? Is this you, Mr. Barklow?
Yep. So
Yes.
basically, because the city engineer is the floodplain manager for the city, those permits come to me to approve. And so typically, it's not the city that's requesting the permit, it might be a private development. And so then you would get, if in your ward, you might get someone complaining that someone's filling in the floodplain. And so that's why we like to bring these before you so that you can see what's going on. In this case, we're actually putting a box culvert in the floodway, which is going to help drainage. So in case you get complaints about it, you should already know about the project, but this is just an FYI so that you guys know that I'm issuing the permit.
Okay. For our own project.
Yes.
Okay.
Documentation.
Discussion or questions for Mr. Barklow? Okay. I guess there's no voting on this item. It was just a point of information. Move on to the next item.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 27800, approving contract amendment regarding additional soil boring locations with Veenstra and Kim, Inc., regarding the Indian Creek Trunk Sewer, Segment 7 project amount and the amount of an addition $30,500 to bring the total not to exceed $345,500.
Second.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilmember Gadela and seconded by Councilmember Draper to approve resolution number 27800, approving the contract amendment regarding additional soil boring locations with Veenstra and Kim, Inc., regarding the Indian Creek Trunk Sewer Segment 7 project in the amount of $30,500 for a total not to exceed $345,500. Discussion. Yes, sir.
Yeah, can we go ahead and get some comments about this and how spending this money is going to benefit the project in the city?
Sure.
I don't know who's going to do.
So if you look at the map that's up on the page right now, we went out previously in the red squares, the red and white ones, are where we previously did the boring samples. This is along the old railroad bed that's there. We looked at two different alternatives. One was to follow the existing trunk sewer that's out there that crosses the creek about 7 times, and the other one was following the old railroad right-of-way. The old railroad right-of-way, we're actually what's called bucking grade, so the elevation of the earth goes up while we'll stay consistently down low so that we can serve those areas, and we get to be 40 feet deep. Because we're 40 feet deep, we know there's bedrock in this area. We want to make sure that we're not going to hit that bedrock and know ahead of time that we're going with the right solution. The other alternative of going along the creek and crossing it 7 times, we're going from a 40-inch diameter pipe to a 60-inch diameter pipe. This is the main trunk sewer that goes down to the treatment plant. Because that is so big, we can't just jack it underneath the existing creek. We would actually have to get DNR permits to move the creek, install the pipe, move the creek back, and so that gets very cost prohibitive. But if there's 40 foot of rock that we're jackhammering through, that can also be cost prohibitive. As you know, we started to go down the condemnation process with that property owner. Since then, with the death in the family, the new trustees seem willing to work with us. So we have stopped the condemnation. One issue that they had was access to some of their land, and if we can move our alignment, then they would be willing to come to the table and work with us rather than us having to go down the condemnation process. Before we just jump in and say, yeah, we're going to do that, we have to make sure that that rock bed doesn't all of a sudden slope up, and then it's a large increased cost to the city. So this is doing our due diligence to make sure that's an alternative that we can actually move forward with.
So the bottom line is, by doing this, it allows us to consider a path that is better for the city, saves money in the entire installation of the sewer project. Is that a good summary of this?
Basically, so then we don't have to pay all the legal fees to go through condemnation and everything. Rather,
right.
we're doing this, and then it's a win-win for both the city and the property owner.
Okay.
But if we find out that the rock shelf comes up and now we're digging through 30 foot of rock instead of 20, then maybe it's not. And so that's what we got to find out before we just move the line on the piece of paper.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Further discussion? All right. We will vote. All those in favor of approving resolution number 27800, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. It's good to be beyond all those resolution numbers with all the sevens.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 27801, authorizing the submittal of an application for traffic safety improvement program funding for the intersection of Alburnett Road and Echo Hill Road to convert the two-way stop controlled intersection to a full roundabout.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27801, authorizing the submittal of an application for traffic safety improvement program funding for the intersection of Alburnett Road and Echo Hill Road to convert the two-way stop to a full roundabout at that intersection. Discussion.
Just a quick one.
Yes.
So if this gets approved, this will also impact the conversation we just approved to go to TAC about the speed, I'm assuming?
Yeah, but this we won't find out for a while, so you'll get a TAC report back before we know about this funding.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Other questions or discussion? All right. All those in favor of resolution number 27801, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 27802, of authorizing the submittal of an application for Traffic Safety Improvement Program, TSIP, funding for the intersection of Highway 100 and South 31st Street to convert the two-way stop controlled intersection to a traffic signal, extend the left turn lanes, and add a westbound right turn lane.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27802, authorizing submittal of an application for traffic safety improvement program funding for the intersection of Highway 100 and South 31st Street for a controlled, for a traffic signal and extension of the left turn lanes and adding a westbound right turn lane. Discussion. Yes, sir.
Now, I understand we applied for this once before,
We applied for it last year.
and that was turned down.
It wasn't necessarily turned down, so they take all the applicants that they get. So say they
Okay.
get 100 applicants, they only have so much money in the TSIP program, so they rank them. They don't tell us what their rubric is, so we have no idea if it's scored 50 out of 100. They basically score it high, medium, and low.
Okay.
And last time they scored this, it was considered low, even though it had like a 6-to-1 cost-benefit ratio. Anytime you add a signal to a primary system like that, you may have rear-end collisions, and so they have to look at that. And
Gotcha.
there's also once all over the state, and so we're just one of those once. We did get the funding for the 10th and 10th mini roundabout as TSIP. We also did the application for 62nd and Highway 151. We didn't get that either. So all of our applications were considered low except for 10th and 10th that they scored high. But they just tell us, that's all they tell us. They don't give us feedback as to why.
All right, thanks.
If my memory's right, didn't IDOT design that intersection to start with?
Well, 31st, the city and the developer extended south to that intersection. And there's other funding sources we can go after. The TSIP is nice because there's no match. There's $500,000 that they give you. We could go after some other funding mechanisms as well, but it doesn't hurt to go after the free $500,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just add, if I can.
Yes, go ahead.
A very busy intersection. If you take it nowadays, it's a lot of time. I mean, 7 accidents there. And how long?
That was just from
Last year.
January to today, or when was it?
Well,
June.
until June. I mean, how many other intersections in the city have had 7 accidents in 6 months? Probably none. So I mean, I think it warrants trying at least to get a stop light there, as that intersection is just busy.
Well, it's crazy busy on that intersection.
I've
Yeah.
seen near misses there and pulled up on accidents, and obviously had a family member in an accident there. So, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Other discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor of resolution number 27802, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, we have one no. The motion is approved. Mr. Sternad?
Mayor, I would like to make a motion directing staff to solicit engineering services from the Iowa DOT by means of the Traffic Engineering Assistance Program regarding the Highway 100 and East Post Road intersection.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to direct staff to solicit engineering services from the Iowa DOT by means of the Traffic Engineering Assistance Program regarding Highway 100 and East Post Road intersection. Discussion. Can you elaborate on what our goal is here?
Sure. So the TEAP program is where the DOT will come in and pay for up to 100 hours of engineering time to actually do the traffic study for the intersection. We've gotten complaints over the years regarding stacking in the morning for westbound to southbound traffic in that turn lane. And with that sight visibility coming over the hill, if those cars are stopped in the through lane, that can become an issue. And so there might be a dual left turn that needs to be made. We've also had requests for westbound and northbound to have a right turn lane there as well. So what we would do is our staff would go out and do traffic counts, and then the DOT would then pay to develop the model and come up with recommendations for improving the intersection, similar to what they did on the 10th and 10th intersection and the West 8th and Lindale intersection. So they give us the options. They come and give you guys a presentation on what their recommendation is moving forward, and then we can use that to apply for funding, whether it's TSIP or other funding, to then make those improvements.
Okay. So right now it's simply a study and recommendations.
Yep.
Of options. Okay.
And this is at no cost other than staff time.
Okay. Is that clear?
Yeah, I can understand that because, again, when I was working downtown and using that left turn lane a lot to head south, there's a lot, every time in the morning, the majority of the time for probably at least a half hour to 40 minutes, that left turn lane was full and you were out in the westbound lane. And so that does make you a lot closer to that hill. So after asking the question and understanding what we're looking at, I can see some validity to maybe doing something at that intersection. Because at first I wasn't sure why we were doing anything, but after hearing the explanation, that does have some validity. So I do understand that.
Certainly worth looking at it, especially since there's no cost to us. Okay.
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I just want to bring up too, a couple of years ago I mentioned to Dan when he was sitting there that is the only turn on that whole interchange there where there is no turn lane is that going north off of westbound 100. And I don't know why in the world the whole interchange would have been built without one leg having a turn lane, which makes no sense to me. So I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, if it was built today, it likely would have. The biggest constraint's going to be is that's where the base for the mast arm is, but
they make bigger ones.
They make bigger.
Okay, further questions or comments? All right, all those in favor of the motion to direct staff to solicit engineering services from the Iowa DOT for the Highway 100 East Post Road intersection, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. At this time, I'm turning the gavel over to Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Brett?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to remove from the table resolution number 27749, accepting bids and awarding contract to Abode Construction Incorporated regarding the 2274 Fifth Avenue property disposal project in the amount of $29,200. This was tabled on 6/20 of 19.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to remove the tabled resolution number 27749, accepting bids and awarding contract to Abode Construction Incorporated regarding the 2274 Fifth Avenue property disposal project in the amount of $29,200. Discussion? Ms. Gidey.
Why did we table this one again? Sorry.
Because property was bought under the threat of condemnation, because of the reversionary rights, the property owner had until Friday of last week to submit a purchase to purchase the property back, the remnant piece. And so we had to wait for that timing to proceed.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So at this time, that timeline has expired, is that right, Mike?
That's correct. Last Friday was the deadline, and we have not received any correspondence from the property owner.
Okay. Seeing no additional discussion on this, all in favor of the motion to remove the tabled resolution number 27749 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll note the mayor's abstention on this one.
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 27749, accepting bids and awarding contract to Abode Construction, Inc. regarding the 2274 Fifth Avenue property disposal project in the amount of $29,200.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27749, accepting bids and awarding contract to Abode Construction Incorporated regarding the 2274 Fifth Avenue property disposal project in the amount of $29,200. Discussion. Mr. Brandt.
Is it just demolition of the buildings, or are they going to take the concrete out also?
It will be a grass site when we're done. There will be nothing left.
Good. Hopefully the previous owner will stop using the property then. Sorry.
Any other discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor of resolution number 27749, accepting bids, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion is approved, again with the Mayor Oblosly's abstention. Ms. Atkins.
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 27803, approving contract and bond with Abode Construction Incorporated regarding the 2274 Fifth Avenue property disposal project in the amount of $29,200.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27803, approving contract and bond with Abode Construction Incorporated regarding the 2274 Fifth Avenue property disposal project in the amount of $29,200. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Again, motion passes, and please note the Mayor Oblosly's abstention.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve resolution number 27804, approving Iowa Department of Transportation agreement for the fiscal year 2018 Airport Improvement Program regarding the runway 1735 widening and partial reconstruction project.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27804, approving the Iowa Department of Transportation agreement for the fiscal year of 2018 Airport Improvement Program regarding the runway 1735 widening and partial reconstruction project. Discussion. Any questions? Nope. Seeing none, all those in favor of resolution number 27804 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Again, motion carries, and abstention of Mayor Oblosly. Community Development. Mr. Brandt.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve ordinance number 1920, rezoning property to PDR, Planned Development Residential, SR3, Suburban Medium Density Single Family Residential, and SR4, Suburban Two-Family Residential for property located north of 29th Avenue on either side of Winchester Drive Extension. Robson Homes, final consideration. Second.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 19-20, rezoning property to PDR Planned Development Residential, SR3, Suburban Medium Density Single Family Residential, and SR4, Suburban Two-Family Residential for property located north of 29th Avenue on either side of Winchester Drive Extended. Robson Homes, final consideration. Discussion. Ms. Gadea.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd noticed on the two conditions, I thought there might be the third about the landscaping or the berm or the natural blocking, and I was wondering what happened with that.
Yeah, you guys had a memo that was submitted.
Right.
There was a couple staff reports that were missing on your packet on Friday. If you turn to the second page, item number 2 is that additional language. And so essentially, landscape buffer shall be provided between the home and the 29th Avenue right-of-way consisting of 1 shade tree per lot, 40-foot spacings, and 1 evergreen per lot. Landscape plan shall be submitted as a part of the final site development plan. So you guys will actually see it when it comes through. On the agenda this evening is the preliminary site development plan. So when that phase is developed, you'll see the landscaping plan come through on that document. So proceeding in that manner. If that.
Yeah, I just had a question about how much coverage will this provide? Because sometimes when the trees are put in, the shade tree, it's like, what, a 2-inch caliper or whatever. Do you think this is beefy enough, this and the evergreen?
Yeah. I mean, we've looked at it in staff on a couple different spacing requirements, and so you have a tree every 40 feet.
I agree.
And then in addition to that, there'll be an evergreen variety provided. So I would assume that we'll see some kind of a plan for that. So there may be, it'll be it won't just be intermittent. We'll see a plan for that in the land use or in the final site development plan. So we did mimic this off of our buffer zones within our zoning code relative to buffering commercial and residential uses. So there's 3 options. We didn't go with a berm because that really didn't make much sense because the ground kind of lays a little different. And the other one was a fence. And I think ideally we were looking at trying to really make it a landscape buffer. So.
Yeah. Good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this ordinance proposed? Mr. Brandt?
Just a real quick question. There's no street trees there now, right? Is there a plan for street trees along?
No, but I'm glad you brought that up. We did talk with, I don't know if Mike wants to speak to it, but the next couple of years, I think they were planned.
Yeah, actually, it's one of those things we'll put in the queue for a planning project in the future. We have nothing there right now, but it is something in the future that we will establish that tree line, that tree canopy along 29th
That'll help
Winchester.
Thank you.
Seeing that there is no other discussion, all those in favor of ordinance number 19-20 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries with the mayor's abstention. Ms. Gadea.
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 27805, approving the Commons at English Glen Phase 2 preliminary site development plan located north of 29th Avenue on either side of Winchester Drive Extended, Robson Homes, Inc.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27805, approving the Commons at English Glen Phase 2 preliminary site development plan located north of 29th Avenue on either side of Winchester Drive Extended, Robson Homes Incorporated. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of resolution number 27805 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries again with the mayor's abstention. Ms. Atkins?
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 27806, approving the Commons at English Glen Phase 2 preliminary plat located north of 29th Avenue on either side of Winchester Drive Extended, Robson Homes Incorporated.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27806, approving the Commons at English Glen Phase 2 preliminary plat located north of 29th Avenue on either side of Winchester Drive Extended, Robson Homes Incorporated. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of resolution number 27806 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries, and again, Mayor Abalosly's abstention.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve resolution number 27807, approving 7th Avenue Commercial Second Edition Final Plat and Memorandum of Agreement related to property located at 3055 7th Avenue. This is GLD Commercial LLC.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27807, approving 7th Avenue Commercial Second Edition Final Plat and Memorandum of Agreement related to property located at 3055 7th Avenue GLD Commercial LLC. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of resolution number 27807, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Mayor Aboulasse's abstention. Mr. Brandt?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve resolution number 27808, approving 7th Ave Commercial 3rd Edition Final Plat and Memorandum of Agreement related to property located at 2791 7th Avenue, GLD Commercial LLC.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27808, approving 7th Avenue Commercial 3rd Edition Final Plat and Memorandum of Agreement related to property located at 2791 7th Avenue, GLD Commercial LLC. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of resolution number 27808 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Motion carries. Again, Mayor Aboulasse's abstention. Ms. Gadelia.
Your Honor, I make a motion to remove from the table resolution number 27752, approving an amendment to the Marion Comprehensive Plan establishing airport and airport overlay designations.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the motion to remove from the table resolution number 27752, approving an amendment to the Marion Comprehensive Plan establishing airport and airport overlay designations. Discussion? And Mr. Traharn, you're up, sir.
This is just removed.
So number 6 is just removing the original resolution from the table that was, and then number 7 is the resolution approving the amendment to the comprehensive plan. I guess you want me to speak to the number 7 at this point?
That's okay. We can wait for number 7. I apologize.
Okay,
I was
no, that's
premature on that. Is there any discussion on the council on that particular item? That would be item number 6, removing this from the table. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to remove from the table resolution number 27752 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Again, Mayor Aboulasse's abstention.
Your Honor,
Oops, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 27752, approving an amendment to the Marion Comprehensive Plan establishing airport and airport overlay designations. It's tabled on 6/20 of 19.
Second.
It has been moved and approved to approve resolution number 27752, approving an amendment to the Marion Comprehensive Plan establishing airport and airport overlay designations, tabled on 6/20/2019. And I apologize, I was premature on the first reading. So, Mr. Traharn, the floor is yours, sir.
So as indicated, what's on the table is the amendment that was reviewed at the last meeting, which would have been for the full land use plan amendment consistent with the ALP. I provided a memo to the council for you this evening. There are 3 amendments or motions to amend relative to this item. At the last meeting, I think the discussion was leaning towards only going forward with the north-south runway, but there were 3 kind of scenarios built around that north-south runway. There's keeping the airport as it sits, going to 4,000 feet, I believe, and that would be extending it north towards 151, and then the full build out of the north-south runway at 5,600 feet. And so what staff really needs is some direction, if that's the direction the council wants to proceed, in which of those 3, just so that we're making the appropriate amendment. The critical thing is to understand, as we look at the next item, which is a motion directing staff to proceed with the zoning, to know how to zone the property or the airport, because really what we're needing to move forward with is the actual zoning code. And there are some timelines established with that we're really trying to make the construction happen and the zoning get in place so that we can also satisfy the Department of Transportation's requirements as far as the grant dollars, so as the council's aware. I would like to just point out one thing, and I did ask that there be some review of what the zoning would look like relative to just the north-south, and this is in its existing state. So if we just zone what we have based upon the reconstruction versus what the zoning would look like for the whole thing consistent with the LP. And I just want everyone to understand that it really doesn't do a whole lot different going just north-south, north-south, east-west. The zoning parameters change a little bit by virtue of you eliminate some of the approach zones. Zone A, B, and C, I believe, would be eliminated on the east-west runway. But with the north-south, we still have to zone the property, and I just want to illustrate the constraints. So going to the north-south, you can see that these are the zones that would be established. And ask questions and bear with me. I know this is a complicated zoning matrix, but the purple line really is, it's hard to see that color, but really is the solid line. This is going to be the extent of the zoning consistent with the north-south runway. The east-west runway and the north-south built out, you can see this gray line that's dashed. That's the difference, really. As you drill down and around the city, or if you look at it out and about, so you can see it just reduces the extent of the conical surface a little bit. The horizontal surface remains pretty consistent in this vicinity here, so the 150-foot ceiling. I know some folks spoke at the beginning of the meeting regarding that. They're still going to be under the 150-foot ceiling for development purposes. If you look here in the light gray, the east-west, these are the approach zones and some of the transition zones in the Zone A constraints. Those do go away, and I think some of their property in this vicinity may have touched some of that approach zones. But I just want everybody to know that there's still going to be constraints with that. This is the existing airport, though. Nothing's changing per se, and what happens if you move this is this southern portion, moves down, a couple hundred feet as it impacts the property to the south. You can see the light gray over the colored surface. That's the impact that extends. Now, granted, this is a large scale, so when I say a couple hundred feet, it's... And to the north, you can see it's...
Tom, if I could, I'd like to interject there. Could you, while
Sure.
you have that southern portion of the runway up there in front of us, would you please identify for us the 3775, the 4,000, and the 5,600 foot? Would you be able to identify that for us and show us?
This is built around the existing this is the existing runway, the 3775.
Okay.
377.
So what we see there is not relative to the three options that are before us going above that?
No, no.
Okay. No. I just want to make sure that was clear.
I just wanted to show, to proceed with zoning and protecting the current facility, these are the zoning districts that would need to be in place.
Very good. Thank you.
I have a question, Tom. I'm puzzled in my own mind, which happens often, but because I find myself, as I've said before, and I know I've talked to legal and probably abstaining from the east-west, but in favor of the north-south. According to what I'm reading here, I could vote in favor of the consistency of changing the way the overlay. I could vote in favor of. I'd have a problem with the rest of it. It would seem. Help.
Mr. Draper, are you referring to, you're saying that you, just for clarity, you would see that the current proposal For the north-south, you have no problems with, but can you just clarify which?
Right. I hate to take it off of the future. At some future date, we're going to need that. But right now, I find that I cannot vote, probably can't vote on this issue. I think it'll pass anyway, but just so you know what's going on, the north-south I'm in favor of. In the east-west, I have no objection to. I just feel right now there are those who might think that I'm in conflict.
Again, just for clarification, because I want to make sure this council is completely very clear on this, but as I see what was delivered to us this evening, we still have the distance of this runway. We will be asked of us which one we're going to favor here. And so again, for clarification, Mr. Draper, can you tell us, are you referring to the 3775, the 4,000, or the 5,600? There's 3 options there.
Yeah.
And Tom, am I incorrect there? That's what you're asking for, correct?
Well, the motions to amend are based on the conversation that was had at the last meeting. So if there's a desire for the north-south, that's what I was to understand leaving the meeting, that the majority of folks favored the north-south, but not including the east-west. So I understanding that it's complicated, but also needing to solicit direction from council. Is that north-south at the existing airport runway? Is it extending north to 151? Or is it the full build-out between Seacrest and 151? And so it's...
Thank you, and that's why I hate to keep harping on that, but I want to make sure it's very, very clear here without a reasonable doubt that we're all thoroughly understanding this. Mr. Jensen.
Okay, so to add a little clarity, 2 weeks ago I asked the question that if the runway was extended to 4,000 feet, what does that do for the airport? Because according to the ALP, it currently has a basic service airport designation. If it was 4,000 feet, it would have a general service airport designation. So my question 2 weeks ago, before this got tabled, and we did not have any discussion about that, is what does that really mean for the airport? So in a sense, I'm in favor of going, I don't see a major issue going a little bit further north, for a couple hundred more feet. I think that will probably be beneficial, but I still have a question. What does that really mean as far as the designation of the airport?
From the designation perspective, like right now, I think it's considered a basic service, but it has a lot of attributes of a general service. I mean, so it's kind of a mixed bag. I think what it will provide is the ability for larger aircraft to land at the airport. I think
so that's the biggest difference.
Absolutely. Yep.
Is it can go to a little larger aircraft and add some benefits in the near term as well.
Without looking specifically, I don't have the document in front of me, but I also think like even for a general service, the runway width is, I believe, supposed to be 75 feet, and we're only building out to 60 at this point. So there's all kinds of different things that go into the designation, but there's.
So you believe that in order to get a general service airport designation, the runway would have to be 75 foot wide?
No, that is the recommended per the code or per the guidebook for a general service. The recommendation to have a 75-foot wide runway.
A 60-foot would suffice, but the 4,000 would allow for larger planes that currently are not landing there today.
Yep.
So yeah, from my standpoint, I'm fine with the current one, but I would certainly support if others support it going to 4,000. But probably not beyond that at the current stage.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
May I have a moment?
Sure, please.
I'd like to clarify and return to something that Mr. Draper said a moment ago. What was disclosed to legal is that Mr. Draper is a minor shareholder in a corporation that owns a piece of property that would be affected by the airport overlay, particularly the zoning as it would apply to the east-west runway. It is not legal's opinion that Mr. Draper would be precluded from voting in favor of the zoning change because it would actually be restricting his property. He'd be consenting to a restriction of his property. So it is not legal's opinion that Mr. Draper cannot vote on that. If Mr. Draper, as a matter of conscience, chooses not to vote on that, that is certainly his prerogative. But I just want to be clear that it is not legal's opinion that he cannot vote on that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Tang, for that clarification, because I'll be honest with you, we were a little confused. So thank you. And Mr. Draper, whichever way you choose to go, we'll certainly honor that. So thank you.
I'm more of a shareholder than I was when I talked to you last, so I've changed a little bit. But.
Okay. Do we need a recess for that?
I guess my clarification on that would still be that as long, even if he was the sole owner of the property, the fact that he would be voting, essentially consenting to further restrictions on his property, he wouldn't be enhancing the value of his own property.
Not that I wanted to be, by the way.
So that's why I don't believe that Mr. Draper would be precluded from voting on the matter.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mr. Traherne, did you have something you wanted to add before we continue on with discussion?
And just because I know there's folks that are here that understand, or that are in the vicinity of this, and so one of the things that I just want to reiterate as well is that the zoning and the height restrictions, the 150, they're all based off the elevation of the runway. So if your property lies lower than 865, and that elevation between your property and that 865 is added to the 150, and that's in all the zones. So what we've found as we've looked at this is that a lot of the property west and south falls lower than 865 means, or the 865 elevation of the runway. So many times the properties are the restrictions on the height are much greater in height than the 150 because of the lay of the land for all intents and purposes. So.
Before we continue on with the questions up here, I would like to ask a couple direct questions here, because there's a big misconception, and I would like to put some clarity to this. If the runway is run out to 4,000 feet, does it actually impact the trail that's out there now? And would it require the runway to be some type of tunnel put on the trail for that extension? Can you clarify that? That seems to be
at the 4,000 foot, no, it would be extended north across Airport Road.
So at only the 5,600 would it require us to make alterations to the trail?
Correct.
And an expenditure. Okay. With that, Ms. Cadelia, did you have some questions for
Yeah,
us?
I
And I'm
did.
sorry, and I'll be back, Mr. Jensen. I know we'll come this way.
Just hit one of them. I wanted to know the difference between the 4,000 and the 5,600, so going north. And then if we vote in favor of 27752, does this exclude the east-west?
Correct.
Okay. I'm good.
Mr. Jensen?
Yeah, I'll just add a comment that I've had a couple of phone calls and talked to probably at least 3 different people that are impacted by this. And the interesting part of it was they were all saying they're in favor of the improvements to the north-south runway.
Exactly.
Probably not to the 5,600 length, but so I think as far as the current project we're talking about for widening and adding the lighting to the existing runway, they were all in favor of that. And I did say, well, you just still need to understand that a lot of these zoning impacts are still going to be there, but they were all satisfied with expanding the north-south runway, but still against the east-west. I think they felt they were more impacted by that, but still a lot of the zoning restrictions that we talked about even 2 weeks ago, I said, are still there and will affect quite a bit of the land around there. And regardless of what we do, that's not going to go away. So I think there was they understood it, but yet they understand why the current project and the current improvements are necessary. So they were in agreement with that. So just to pass that information on.
Ms. Atkins, please.
Yes. Can you just remind all of us how the zoning is determined? Just a quick overview of that. I know you've talked about it, but I think it might be helpful for some folks that are here how that's been determined with the current zoning based on the airport.
So we use the state guidebook, airport guidebook, as a basis for this, and a lot of it's built around FAA guidelines and zones around an airport. And so we build our ordinance around that as well. And so when the zoning comes forward, you will see us being consistent with those zoning district classifications or the overlay standards, but there's also the ability to vary some of those, and we have some of those proposed within the ordinance. The ordinance has kind of been sitting until we got some direction because we didn't want to do a whole lot of work putting the final touches on things if we didn't know where things were going, and clearly there's been some question on that. So as an example, the MEC, there's some property restrictions based on a no-build line and the transition zone that's been looked at, and there'll probably be some adjustments to that in what are required or what are suggested in the guidebook, and the Zone A at the end of the runways as well. So, and we'll walk through that as we get into the zoning, and I think some of those questions will be much more, we'll be able to vet them a lot better at that point. But most of the restrictions as a part of the zoning are going to be height restrictions. However, there will be some general use categories that will require additional reviews in some of the zones, like large gathering spaces in the Zone A or the approach zones. If there's hazards being created in those approach areas, such as smoke or wildlife attractants and things of that nature. The good thing, and I know it's been talked about, but when you land at an airport and you look out the window, you see ag. The zoning on the north, southwest of this, it's ag. So the impacts, for the most part, with this area, the impacts that the airport's had on the property owners currently are the impacts that they will have going forward if it's just a north-south.
Thank you.
We're just we would be establishing the zoning more than it is established currently.
Mr. Brandt?
I just want to clarify what a yes vote on this and what a no vote on this is determining. Because you said to Renee that
you were looking for an amendment here.
So if I can interrupt you, the motions that I've provided in the staff report are motions to amend the resolution that's on the table. Yes.
So what's on the agenda is not what we're voting on, it's how you want it amended based off of...
Correct, because it was removed from the table.
Got it.
Unless you want to approve that one, and then it's the whole...
Ms. Gidelia?
More. Okay, two quick things. So do we need to specify that I'm going to just go with the 4,000-foot one right now. Would we need to specify that an additional 225 feet would extend north, or that's locked in?
No, I don't think you need to do that.
I don't want to mess with the trail. Okay, and then just again, no east-west is in this, correct? In any of these amendments?
Yep. Okay. To support a north-south runway configured.
Got it. Just need to hear it again. Yep. Thank you.
And do I want to include also the widening of it, correct? Or is it just the length?
Just the length.
Just the length, okay. Any additional questions for discussion from the council before we move forward? Our next step will be I will be asking for a motion to amend Resolution 27752 before we move forward. So just before that, I'd like to ask if there's any additional discussion up here or questions of Mr. Trahan before we move forward. Mr. Jensen.
I would just say if we're going to make the amendment, then is there a preference on length if we're going to only approve the north-south? So I've indicated mine. I don't know where everybody else stands so that we can
if we're looking for
select the correct one.
Yeah, I would say let's try to get a consent from the council here. We've heard 4,000. 4,000's repeated.
I would support 4,000 as
4,000. Mr. Brandt?
I'm in favor of keeping the ALP the way it is.
Okay, all right. Mr. Draper?
Yeah, I would too. I think the biggest problem we have is that we do have some people who need the zoning changed. And if we don't address that situation, we got to...
And we understand the zoning is going to be occurring regardless. So, yeah, that's exactly right. Do I hear you say one or the other on your preferred length?
Yeah, fast enough to run my Mustang on.
So I hear you saying you need 100 feet? 120 feet, okay. All right, I as well.
I'm already getting one of those.
I as well would support the 4,000 as well too. So that does make it a majority. So it looks like the 4,000 is where we'll go, and we'll proceed as follows. So at this time, then, our discussion is closed. We will now. I will entertain a motion to amend Resolution 27752. If somebody would like to carry that out.
Yeah, I'll do it. Mayor Pro Tem, I make a motion to amend Resolution number 27752, approving an amendment to the Marion Comprehensive Plan establishing airport and airport overlay designations to support a north-south runway configured to a length of 4,000 feet.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the motion to amend Resolution number 27752, approving to amend to the Marion Comprehensive Plan establishing airport and airport overlay designations to support a north-south runway configured to a length of 4,000 feet. Once again, we'll have a discussion opportunity. Seeing none, all those in favor of the amended Resolution number 27752 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
No.
Motion carries. We do have one no, one abstention, and I appreciate that. So we will bring this back then to the agended Resolution 27752. Ms. Hedkins, at this point, I'm sorry, it's already been read. So this brings it back for the Resolution 27752, approving an amended the amendment to the Marion Comprehensive Plan establishing the airport overlay designations. I'll once again ask for any discussion on that item. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving Resolution number 27752 signify by saying aye. Aye.
So if we want the 4,000 feet and not the entire ALP, we should say no here?
No, you amended it.
We've already amended. Tom, correct me if I'm wrong here. You have asked for this amendment?
You had a motion to amend, which was approved, so now we need to vote on the amended motion.
Correct.
Okay.
But
On the
that will
amended
be to
motion.
specify
Amended resolution.
only the amended portion.
Only amended resolution?
Right.
Okay, very good.
It's a tangle, isn't it?
I wanted to make sure what we were voting on.
Right.
No,
was
I
like-
apologize. Is there, no, once again, will there be any questions? I want to make sure everyone's clear on that. Okay. So again, just for clarification, we are now approving the amended portion to Resolution 27752. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, once again, I'll do another request here. I was solo on the last one, so you know where I'm going. Resolution number 27752, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
No.
And motion carries. We have one no and one abstention. Thank you. That brings us up to Mr. Jensen, number 8, please.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, I move to remove from the table motion directing staff to proceed with zoning the Marion Municipal Airport consistent with the 2017 airport layout plan.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to remove from the table motion directing staff to proceed with the zoning the Marion Municipal Airport consistent with the 2017 airport layout plan. Discussion. I would like just clarification one more time here, Tom, and I'm so sorry, but
No, that's all right.
I want to make sure that it's clear to everyone that's listening, everyone that's here, that we've amended this, but we have not specifically called out that we are lifting the east-west runway out of this ALP. So I want to make sure that we are not creating a double standard here on what you're asking for.
So the motion was placed on the table, so we're removing it from the table. And then, again, you'd be amending the motion to direct staff to proceed.
Right.
As it's written, you'd read that, and then someone would make a motion to amend that. And if you look at the memo, I think it's at the top of page 2, just providing, the middle there is just motion directing staff to proceed with zoning the Marion Municipal Airport consistent with Resolution 27752 and providing a runway configured to the length of 4,000 feet. So.
Okay, very good. I appreciate that. Again, It's a very delicate matter here. We want to make sure that this is very, very clear for everyone. So, At this point, we're going to bring about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just, I know you'll get going in the motions and talking about this, but this, I just want the council to understand that what we're asking for here is the directive to proceed with the zoning. This is seems like just go ahead and motion to proceed. This is also what we're using as the premise to start the construction process to get the bid letting on the project. So just establishing it as if we move forward with that and the zoning does not go forward, the $500,000 of 475 is in jeopardy of funding from the DOT. So what we're trying to do is to accommodate the DOT's requirement that it gets zoned and moving it forward in that direction. But they're going to want to see, before they reimburse us for anything, that the zoning is in place.
Right.
So I just want to be clear.
Very good. Ms. Gedelia. Yeah, go ahead.
So one other thing that came up when we tabled this was the possibility of phasing the ALP plan, because it's over a long period of time and it's a big chunk of money. That hasn't been considered in this, correct? So it would still just be one.
So this is just to proceed with the zoning. I think the conversation on the ALP is completely separate at this point. Everything we're doing is consistent with the ALP.
Right.
We're just not going the full 9 yards of what the ALP provides. So whether, the zoning, the north-south, they are all in the ALP. So we are moving forward to support the ALP. If there's further conversation about the ALP, I think maybe having that at a later date just to, kind of get this going, get the north-south improvement in. I think everybody wants to see that. I think as maybe winter, this is a good time, maybe in the fall we can have a report out regarding the ALP, have some direction from council to move forward with having a conversation with the Marion Municipal Airport Committee and moving forward with some of that other language. But yeah, that's certainly, we understand that that's a concern and something we need to look at.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, and again, thank you for everyone's patience on this as we move through this. So, again, too, this is just a motion then to remove this off of the table and to proceed with the layout plan. So, again, any other questions before we go to the vote on this? Seeing none, okay. All those in favor of removing from the table motion directing staff to proceed with zoning of the Marion Municipal Airport consistent with the 2017 airport layout plan, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Again, motion carries. Abstention of the Mayor Avalosely. Mr. Brandt, number 9.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to make a motion to direct staff to proceed with zoning the Marion Municipal Airport consistent with the 2017 airport layout plan.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to direct staff to proceed with the zoning of the Marion Municipal Airport consistent with the 2017 airport layout plan. Discussion.
I'm willing to read the amendment.
All right.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make an amendment directing staff to proceed with zoning the Marion Municipal Airport consistent with resolution number 27752 and providing for a runway configured to a length of 4,000 feet.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to amend the directing of staff to proceed with the zoning of the Marion Municipal Airport consistent with 2017 layout plan as to read motion directing staff to proceed that is consistent with the resolution number 27752 and providing for a runway configured to a length of 4,000 feet. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of amending the motion to direct staff on the resolution 27752 and providing a runway configured to a length of 4,000 feet, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
No.
Motion passes. We have 1 no and 1 abstention. That brings us...
Do we need to approve that then?
Yeah, then that brings us back to approving the directing of staff to proceed with number 9 with the zoning of the Marion Municipal Airport consistent with the 2017 airport layout. Again, all of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
No.
Again, motion passes. We have 1 no, 1 abstention, and I am happy to turn the meeting back over to the mayor. Thanks, Tom.
Okay. Next on the agenda is a public hearing regarding amending the future land use map of Marion Comprehensive Plan from Business Parks Office to multifamily residential, and a rezoning request from O1 to MR2, High Density Multiple Family Residential District for the property at 1330 East Post Road, Marion. Public hearing is now open. We have a presentation.
So the council received a packet of information regarding the proposed land use plan amendment and rezoning for property located east of East Post Road, north of 151, really north of Furniture Row, south of the Maggot facility there. And the views is located in this, you can see it's under construction, and this project is connected to that project and includes the property highlighted in red. As indicated in the packet, the land use map amendment is being proposed to provide for the multifamily residential, and then the zoning also is being done to support the new zoning code. And so it is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and I think we laid out some illustrations to show how that's going to be a lot, I guess from a mapping perspective, going to look a lot better and going to be consistent as we move forward with implementing the new zoning district classifications. As illustrated, and I think this is just a really great facility, and from a look and feel and blending in with the neighborhood, they've really done a nice job with doing that. And of course, this is a senior project, age-restricted project, and you can see they've got really nice facility. It's a co-op. I know the owner or manager of probably not the owner since it's a co-op, but the developer of the project is in the room and could probably speak to more of the details of the project. But from a land use perspective, staff is certainly supportive of the project as it moves forward. The Planning Commission is recommending approval, and I think this will be a project everybody can be very proud of. It's a really sharp-looking building. As the council hears us speak to what we'd like to see in development projects and materials and how it blends into the neighborhood, I think we got the packet and said, okay, this looks great. And we don't get to do that very often, so it's pretty exciting to see that. So if there's any questions, I can answer those, or I know the developer of the project's in the room as well.
Okay. We're in the public hearing portion of this matter, so if there's anyone here to address the council, either in favor or in opposition, on this measure, which is amending the future land use map, please come forward at this time. Welcome. Please state your name and address.
My name is John Baumhofter. My address is 6753 18th Avenue of Keystone. And I'm president of the Views Holdings, which just built the new facility here in Marion.
Yes.
104 units of senior assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing. We currently manage and operate 300 beds throughout Cedar Rapids and Burlington and Marion total. This is our next phase of senior housing. We see these communities as transition communities for people that eventually will need a higher level of care that we already own and operate. We have 3 of these right now in development around mid-Iowa. These are new for us. We are the Uptown Iowa Cooperatives of Iowa. Right now, currently only constructing in Iowa. This will be one of our first units. We've taken a different approach. There's a couple in Cedar Rapids. There's a couple more coming in Cedar Rapids. Typically, they're 3 to 4 story, big buildings. And as you can see from our meadow view of Marion facility, we're 2-story. So we have more of a residential feel than the big block condominium type buildings. We are only 36 units, 18 per floor, about 29,200 square feet per floor. There's underground parking for 57 cars. So if you had 1 or 2 cars, you'd have spaces for underground and extra storage as well. There's multiple amenities that are to be determined as we pre-sell. We've had 2 sales meetings to date, and we have 7 reservations. This will be a HUD Finance 213 cooperative, senior cooperative housing. It has some pre-sale conditions, and also is age restricted at 62 plus. So at least one member in your unit has to be 62, and that's a HUD requirement. There are some other ones that are doing at 52 plus, but those are privately funded and not HUD funded. So we are following the HUD pre-sale conditions.
Are there common amenities?
Many, and they're determined by the unit reservations. So we're hearing everything from a bowling alley, a car wash in the basement, outdoor cooking and gardens, walking trails, exercise rooms. Basically, the 36 unit owners determine what the amenities will be. Buy-ins are at around 100,000 to about 195. Again, based on square footage of your units. Square footages, right now the popular units are the 2-bedroom with a den. So that's one of the larger ones, around 1,600 to 1,700 square feet. And again, the unit sizes will be determined by the buyers. We'll sell what the buyers want to purchase. We need to sell 25 units, and we are fully funded and ready to begin construction. We think that'll happen towards the end of this year.
Does the common amenities, does that include like food service? Or
no, all the units are fully full appliances, full size, sure, everything. So, okay. There's common areas for preparation or parties, movie theaters, community areas for cards, crafts, woodworking shops, all those kinds of things.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Just a quick question. I understand the one aspect of this that is kind of unique and different for Marion, at least for the most part, that a lot of people aren't used to, is this is a co-op, where it kind of acts like a condo where you have ownership, but your ownership is a percentage of the entire complex.
That's correct.
So that, am I defining that correctly?
You're buying a share.
You're buying a share of the entire complex.
Yes, yes.
So,
and the maintenance is all inclusive, interior and exterior, not like a condo. So your appliances are all serviced by the cooperative. Anything that fails, light bulbs, or anything in your room is repaired by the association. All maintenance, mowing, lawn mowing, snow removal is including in a monthly fee that also includes your portion of taxes, insurance, and your payment on the master mortgage.
Yes, sir.
In my daytime industry, there are 2 common known things, and that is death and taxes. I like to say that there's a third one, and that's senior living. I work with a lot of long-term care needs, which you have transitional living facilities at all different levels, and it amazes me how the phone is ringing, and that baby boomer generation and its previous generation is moving very swiftly. So in my 25-year career, I've seen people that have gone from retirement to needing to be in these homes. And so I am, for one, very excited that you've picked our community, and the build-out that you're showing us is going to be something that's going to be long-term. We're very proud of. We're very excited to have you. And so as an industry leader in that line of work as well, too, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing, because those generations that take care of those people are very busy, and it's work for them to find these types of facilities. And some people have different interests and levels of how much time they want to spend in that. So to have these in our backyard is incredible. And sometimes people won't see that or recognize it until they're put into that position to have to start making those phone calls. So thank you. Just wanted to point that out, and thank you for choosing our community.
Well, and the other reason we chose this instead of independent living, and we've looked at that model. Independent living is basically a senior apartment, and you're paying some fairly substantial rents for a few amenities and common areas. This is actually an investment. So when you sell your home, you would have enough money to invest in the share price, and the monthly fees are all inclusive. And you also have a guaranteed return of 2 to 3% of your investment, your share price, at the time you need to leave for a higher level of care. So that money is coming back to you guaranteed, and you know you have your equity protected.
And that's exactly right, because a lot of these people don't, so many of them don't have long-term care insurance policies, or they don't have a high net worth. So they rely on their equity, and their equity is in their home. So once those are sold, it allows that, that money to continue to keep moving forward. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Other questions?
It's interesting to me. We have so many all of a sudden,
There is.
I'm on the board of Methwick and have been for 15 years, and we have a heck of a waiting list, so the need is there.
Yes.
Don't kid yourself. My son is on the board of the Christian Housing out here. They have a waiting list.
Yep.
So, what you're building, there's a great need for,
There is. And the need is going to be stronger. They call it, in Iowa, it's called the silver tsunami is coming. So, and I'm a part of it too. I'm at that age group, so.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate your project and your being so careful about also making it look good, and the fact that the staff was happy with it from the first view is very telling. So we appreciate that. We like to see projects that improve our community and that make everyone proud, and that improve the curb appeal of the entire community. So thank you for that.
And we're very happy to be a part of Marion too. So,
good.
Thank you.
All right. Any other people in the audience to address the council on this matter, either in opposition or in favor? Please come forward. Okay, we'll close the public hearing.
Yeah, I was making a note. Your Honor, I move resolution number 27809, amending the future land use map of the Marion Comprehensive Plan from Business Parks Office to multifamily residential located at 1330 East Post Road, Marion, Iowa, 1 Research Center.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 27809, amending the future land use map of the Marion Comprehensive Plan from Business Parks Office to multifamily residential located at 1330 East Post Road. Any discussion? All those in favor of resolution 27809, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 19-21, approving the rezoning of property from O1 office transitional to MR2 high-density multiple family residential located at 1330 East Post Road, Marion, Iowa, 1 Research Center. This is the initial consideration.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilmember Atkins and seconded by Councilmember Jensen to approve ordinance number 19-21, approving the rezoning of the property at 1330 East Post Road from O1 office transitional to MR2 high-density multifamily residential. Initial consideration. Discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. Yes, sir?
I received an email from a representative of Perry Development Partners requesting that the item not be considered this evening, so I think we can just skip that, if that's correct, and move to the next item, or does it have to be read?
Since it is on the published agenda, I would recommend that there be a motion to table it.
Okay.
Mayor, I move to table resolution number 27810, approving a site plan related to 809 6th Avenue associated with terms and conditions of ordinance 16-09, Perry Development Partners, LLC.
Second.
Okay, so I have a question. The resolution wasn't made. Can we table it without having it put it on the floor? It's okay?
I guess technically speaking, you should read,
Yeah.
as a procedural matter, technically, yes, the motion should be made to approve the resolution, et cetera.
Okay.
However, that's following Robert's rules. We're not a Robert's rules city. I think it provides sufficient notice to the public what you're doing when you just indicate that you're moving to table.
Is anyone uncomfortable with proceeding this way? Okay. So it's been moved and seconded to table resolution number 27810.
These rules
Right.
of order.
Any discussion on tabling? All those in favor of tabling resolution number 27810, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no.
No.
We have one no, the motion is approved.
I just want to say it's not because of how we did it, it's because of how this keeps coming and going. And so I just feel like if you're ready to pull the trigger and get on the agenda, you should be ready to pull the trigger and get on the agenda.
We need some finality here in this project, somewhere.
There's a lot of hemming and hawing on this one, so anyway.
Okay, good point.
I'd advise her. One more chance.
With that being said, Your Honor, Mayor, I am super excited to approve resolution number 27811, approving the issuance of building permits for lots 139, 201, 149 through 152, Rockwood Estates First Edition, prior to approval of Rockwood Estates First Edition Final Plat, Rockwood Estates LLC.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Sternad and seconded by Councilmember Brandt to approve resolution number 27811, approving the issuance of building permits for lots 139, 201, and 149 and 152 Rookwood Estates First Edition prior to approval of Rookwood Estates First Edition Final Plat. So I have a question. Why are we doing this?
They're wanting to proceed to get permits prior to final plat. It's a big final plat. I think they just want to get rolling on it. It's a big final plat, and I think they just want to get the project kind of going before too long. And it's a big final plat, so there's probably a lot of surety posted as part of it.
So when would the approval of the final plat happen?
Well, there wouldn't be any occupancy or not even a temporary, so they would bring forward the final plat when they have the appropriate surety in place and those the items required as part of it. I mean, they haven't established exactly when.
Okay.
It's not untypical when they ask for the permits prior to final plat.
I mean, I know we periodically get those requests. I'm just trying to understand, like, what happens that they don't get their plat approved and then start building. I mean, what?
Start over. Like they start building or moving dirt, and then the plat changes, and we don't approve the plat, and it changes. Well, they'll have to change what they did.
Yeah, the onus is on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we won't issue a building permit period on anything until the property's been final platted. And so
that's what makes sense. So I'm saying, what happened here that they're not doing that?
They're just requesting to be able to move forward. What they don't want to do is post surety, or they want to make the improvements before they have to post the dollars and cents to get things in line to get the final plat approved.
Okay, but I'm still not clear as to what's causing that. I mean, you just said that typically you would have the final plat approved and then you get your building permits and you build.
Correct.
So
they're choosing not to move forward with the items
necessary. There's no special
necessary.
reason. They're just asking for that.
Correct.
They're just asking us to accommodate that.
It's a big final plat, so there's probably a substantial requirement for surety if they're going to move forward ahead of improvements. Generally, the developers will wait until they get all the public improvements in, so they paid for the street, the sewer, and the water, and it's all in, and then they'll pull.
So that's what I'm trying to get at. The public improvements aren't finished yet.
No.
So that's what's holding up getting the final plat approved. I mean, they can't get the final plat approved until they're done.
Either that, or they would be required to post surety, so they'd have to get bonds or provide some financial credit to the city, so we can hold to ensure that that in the event that they don't make the improvements, that we can make them.
Right, but it
And
has
those
to do with
cost money.
finishing the public improvements.
What's that?
It has to do with finishing the public improvements.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any risk to the city by doing this first?
No, nope.
Just want to make sure.
And there won't be any occupancy permits until the public improvements are done and the final plat's approved?
Correct, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Other discussion? All right, all those in favor of resolution number 27811, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. This time we have public forum for anyone to address the council on any topic that was not on the agenda this evening. If there's anyone here to address the council, please come forward.
Good evening. Sorry, you can take your stuff. I just wanted to say that Holly Trineri, Library Director, as a part of sort of other department updates, I just wanted to thank the council and the city staff and my peers across the leadership team and your support for the Pride event that we happened at the library a couple of weeks ago. I want, just by way of a little bit of a report out, we had over 400 people participate in that event that happened at the library. As a first-time event for us, we had, I would say, unprecedented success, especially in partnership with our partners with the PD and the fire department and everyone that helped make that a successful activity in our community. We have had a good bit of feedback, as many of you have heard, but we've also had tons and tons and tons of thank you from our community, even some local churches that have reached out and express their thanks for allowing our community to fulfill their First Amendment rights and their rights as according to our ordinances and what we stand for in the library world and industry. Lots of events across the nation are up against scrutiny, and I believe, and we all believe, that we offered a wonderful service to our community that day. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone involved and for the support of the city and the Civil Rights Commission as well. Thank you.
Anyone else address the council on any item that was not on the agenda this evening? Okay, we'll move forward with council discussion. Paul, would you like to start?
I'm very quiet tonight.
Okay.
I would only say that 5 years from now, guys, you're going to have a lot of history to talk about what happened tonight. So history is in the making.
I don't have anything.
My only comment is really about the fireworks. So we're 2 days away from the date that everybody can set off fireworks. I, for one, have heard certainly less fireworks going off this year than last year and certainly the year before. So I think the decision that we made to restrict the sales of fireworks to industrial areas, I think I've only counted 4 tents, and 2 or 3 of those are very hard to even see or find. So at least in my opinion, I think we succeeded in what we wanted to achieve with that rezoning on where they could sell. So I don't know what the police department has seen or what you've done, but I certainly don't. I hear very little this year until the 4th. So.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that reading, the excitement of reading number 14 was because it was the final resolution. So I didn't clarify that, and I apologize. I got nervous.
Yeah, I did too.
I want to thank Chief Crable for your moment of recognition. Our city is very fortunate of its volunteers, and being part of the fire department's meant a lot. I've appreciated that, and It's a great organization, as well as all of our organizations. And if it wouldn't have been for moving into another part of our city's dynamics, I would still be there with you shoulder to shoulder. And I hear the sirens go off every day, and I wish I was still active. So we'll see what the future holds with that. But anyway, wanted to thank you for that, and I appreciate the staff and everybody who volunteers. It's a huge commitment. At the time I signed up, I made a major error, and I forgot to get the approval of my wife. I came home and I said, guess what? My application's been accepted. I'm on the Marion Fire Department. So she's very understanding. My wife is very supportive, and I know everyone else is as well, too. So family gets in the way sometimes, but that's what makes our community very unique. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Real quick, last night, some people here joined in. The mayor joined in. I want to thank him for coming. We had hopefully the first annual or the inaugural Indian Creek float trip. The Imagine X Committee, Creekside Pride, we're working on enhancing the creek, and yes, it's the creek. And looking for more recreational uses of our natural resources that we have in town. And we had about 30, I'd say, people show up and kayaked and canoed from about the 29th Avenue Bridge down to Willow Park. So it was a great experience. Everyone had a lot of fun. A lot of city staff came. The Backwater Kayak Club, I think it's called, who are professional kayakers, came and helped
Make sure
some
we
of
all
the new
have
people.
life vests.
Yeah, make sure everybody had life vests. But and I don't know if the mayor's going to speak about it or not, but there's been a lot of people online that have looked at the pictures on the Facebook and talked about how they wish they could have done it. So hopefully we can make this happen more often. Maybe every month or so we'll have a float trip down the creek. So, but thank you, Mayor, for coming, and thank you, Amanda, Holly, Tom, Mike. Who else was there that was here? Our officer in the back. It was a good time.
It is creek. I live a block away.
Yep, it's the creek.
I'm
That's
outnumbered.
all. Oh, and happy 4th of July to everybody.
Yeah. Okay, for me, I just wanted to bring up at the last meeting, we had some very patient people who presented to us on a TNR program to consider. And I'm very intrigued by this. Obviously, we got a lot of information from the few people that spoke, and they left us with a lot. I would like to ask staff to take the next step and look into what we could do and should do in our community. What's the right size program to perhaps consider putting into our programs, and determine, the feasibility of doing this. I'm one person. I know I need another. I don't know if anyone else is interested in directing staff to do this, but I was very moved. I do think it's an issue. We had done this in my community shortly before I left in New Jersey, and very quickly it was beginning to make a difference. It's just the humane thing to do. And so I'm very interested in Marion having a program like this.
I'd certainly support that effort, too.
Me too.
Thank you. That's all I have.
For my part, I did enjoy the kayaking, or I guess I was in the canoe with Tom.
Oh, yeah.
I had a passenger.
Surprised you made it. Oh.
For a long time, I've thought that we need to find ways to make the creek an amenity and to see it as an asset to our community rather than just something that floods periodically, and we have to, figure out how to deal with that. But I think it's a great opportunity. It's good to see so much enthusiasm and momentum building around finding ways to make it an amenity. We have an actual committee of people who are experts in the area who are working on it, and it's actually Councilmember Brent is the head of the committee. So I'm looking forward to see what comes out of that. It was a lot of fun, and I think just like the comments that I've received, people were kind of upset if they didn't know about it, and definitely want to know about the next one, so. Just want to remind everyone to go out and enjoy the first fireworks, Marion-sponsored fireworks at Lau Park, which is fireworks and fireflies tomorrow evening, beginning at 6 o'clock. And there's music on the stage, of course, then the fireworks later on. Eat, Drink, and Be Marion. The fundraiser for the Uptown District is next Thursday, and that tickets are selling fast, so buy your tickets if you haven't purchased them. It should be a great time. It's the fifth annual Eat, Drink, and Be Marion. It's an upscale pub crawl. The shops are involved, all the restaurants, the bars. Everyone has something going on in their within their doors, and there's music everywhere. There's food, a silent auction. So it's a great time. We did have the groundbreaking for the 2 new Linmar schools, so that's an exciting development. It was last week, and I was proud to represent the city at that groundbreaking. That's all I have for my part. I do want to mention that I really like, so thank you for reaching higher. I really like that we have the visual up on the screens now for the items as they come up on the agenda. I think it's very helpful, as well as the new format of the reports on each of the items that we get in our packets. They're very easy to follow. It's much improved in terms of giving us the information we need in the background to make good decisions. So thank you to the staff. Thank you for reaching higher in these ways. So with that, we have a closed session this evening. Mr. Brandt?
Real quick, I want to add with the Eat, Drink, and Be Marion, there's a ray gun shirt that's, I don't know if you saw that, it's
Oh,
online.
yes.
The ray gun shirt, it says, "Get your Marion."
Oh, cute.
That's a Marion, so I think it's kind of fun. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, back to, Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn to closed session regarding land acquisition as permitted under section 21.5 1J of the Iowa Code, or Code of Iowa.
Second?
It has been moved and seconded to adjourn to closed session regarding land acquisition as permitted under section 21.51J of the Code of Iowa. May we have our legal opinion, please?
Your Honor, I have reviewed the subject matter of the proposed motion and do believe that it is appropriate to consider it in closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.5 Sub 1 Sub J, and recommend that council adjourn to closed session accordingly.
Thank you. Can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Draper?
Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Jensen?
Yes.
Mayor Abu-Osley?
Yes.
Mr. Sterned?
Yes.
Mr. Brandt?
Yes.
Ms. Gedalia?
Yes.
Okay, we are adjourned to closed session. We'll return to open session following that.